Since I was younger, from about the age of 14, I'd say, I've always had this burning question in my head of what am I going to do with my life? Ever since I was in school and they ask you to pick subjects that you want to learn, right? Up until that point in school, they have a curriculum, they teach you it. You don't get a choice, you just go in and they teach you what they want to teach you. But then you get to a stage where they're like, okay, pick subjects that you want to learn, and then these subjects are probably going to lead you to where you're going to go next. And I remember it was the first time that I had to make a decision on my own life. It's the first time I had to make a constructive decision that was going to lead my life in a direction. And I remember at the time being like, I don't have a fucking clue what I want to do with my life. Like, I'm 14. The only thing I cared about was, at that time, was playing Xbox, eating pizza, and doing nothing. That's all I cared about. So, fast forward 4 years later, I'm 18 years old. I'm in my first year of university doing electrical engineering. And by the time I got to the end of that year, I'd realised that I was fucking miserable. I hated engineering. I flunked my way through that year, failed all the exams at the end, copied all of the people I could, all of my friends in university, copied all of their work just to get by. And I got to the end of that year, 9 grand in debt, and thought I would rather not wake up tomorrow than continue on down this path. And I came back to that same question that I'd asked myself 4 years earlier, which was like, what is the rest of my life going to look like? And I was like, well, I know it's definitely not this. I know that if I'm going to finish university and get a job doing this thing and do that for the rest of my life, I'd rather not wake up tomorrow. So I was like, it's definitely not going to be that. So my option at the time was very clear, which was, well, I'm just going to drop out and not do this, because I knew that that physically wasn't an option. So I did what any normal kid at that time would do, and what everyone was doing, which is, if you don't know what you're doing, take a gap year, which is you basically spend a year doing nothing, figuring out where you're going to go next. So I remember very distinctly at the time, my mum looked at me and said, well, if you're dropping out of university, you better go get a fucking job. So that's what I did. Anyway, a lot of this is not important, but basically, long story short, I decided during that gap year that I was going to go back to school, because I sat there and thought, well, what do I like? You know, because I heard the quote somewhere, I saw a clip somewhere that was like, I heard the quote, if you do what you love, you never work a day in your life, right? Which has truth to it. But I thought, okay, then let me sit down and think, what do I actually want to do? What do I like to do? And at that time, I was obsessed with fitness. So all I wanted to do, go to the gym, train. I started training when I was 16, so this would have been like 2 and a bit years, almost 3 years into that. And I was like, well, okay, I love training, I love exercise. I was like, it's probably going to be something to do with that. Then I thought, okay, then I'll be a personal trainer, because that makes sense. Then I was very naive at the time, and I thought that being a PT, coaching people, meant that you do 12-hour days in the gym. And I was like, well, I don't want to fucking do that for not very good money. So looked and was like, okay, then what else is fitness related but pays more? And if you can see the trend here, I was still thinking in the mindset of like, I had to work a 9 to 5 job. I was thinking that is going to be like, that's so ingrained into us that was what I was thinking. I was like, okay, go back to school, do education again, to get education, to then go get a job. Long story short, I went and did physiotherapy, and I did 1 year in college and 1 year in university. And then the same problem cropped up again, which was, I was like, I don't really want to do this. It was a bit different this time, because I was interested in it and I liked it and I enjoyed it, but I sat there and I was like, what do I actually want with my life? And I made a pros and cons list, and I was like, well, these are all the things that I want, and this direction that I've chose, it can get me there, but it's going to take a lot longer than if I was just to pack it in, go out on my own and try and start a business. And so again, I dropped out of uni, made me a 2-time uni dropout, which was great. Not a fun conversation to have at home. And the point I'm getting at here is I spent 6-7 years of my life, probably a little bit more, thinking I had to know what the fuck I wanted to do with my life, when in reality, I didn't need to know. And I now realise that we all have pretty much the same purpose in life. We're all put here for the same reason, which is to serve, to be a servant, to help others, to change lives. That is what we are all put here to do. And if you think that that doesn't apply to you, you think that that's not what you've got to do in life, it's incredibly selfish. Because you have to be very arrogant to think that you don't have to play a part in this, that you don't have to play your part on this planet of serving and helping others. But here's the funny thing. In order to serve others, that implies that you need to become a teacher. It implies that you're going to teach others and you're going to pass on knowledge that they can use to help improve their lives. But you can't do that if you haven't fixed yourself first, can you? If you haven't done the work, if you haven't got the scars, you haven't learnt the lessons, then you've got nothing to teach. If you don't have skills, you can't teach anything. If you're not competent, you can't teach anything. So the point I'm trying to make here is you don't need to know what you're doing next. You don't need to know what your life's going to look like. You don't need to know what the future holds for you. But there's one thing that we know for sure, is that we have to fix ourselves first. We have to become bulletproof. We have to develop ourselves into a person that we're proud of. That we have to create this person that we are fucking proud to say that we are. It's kind of like your mentor, right? It's your future self, which is kind of your own mentor because that is who you want to be. That's who you listen to. So we know 100% that we have to fix ourselves in order for us to play our role, to serve, to help other people. So if you don't know what you want to do and you don't know what direction you're going to go in, then your purpose is very simple. Become unstoppable. Go to the gym, exercise, build your body, right? Learn macros, learn nutrition, learn how to train. Master that. Develop your mindset, read the books, expand your knowledge base, develop yourself. It's very simple but not easy. It's very simple to wake up every single day with the one sole purpose of becoming better, because it makes it very clear on what you have to do next. It makes it very clear what you should be doing every single day to do that. Because you wake up every single day and you go, well, I need to exercise because that's making me better. I need to consume some type of content or read something which is going to expand my knowledge base. I need to be surrounding myself with people who are teaching me, or I'm learning from just being around them. So you know all these things now because you know what your purpose is, which is to become the absolute best possible version of you, right? To become your 2.0 self. So the question that you've got to ask yourself right now is, what are you currently not doing, which you know you should be doing, which could make you better? For some of you watching this, you won't be doing anything. And you could probably agree with me that right now you feel pretty hopeless, feel pretty depressed, anxious, feel like you don't have a role in the world, feel like there's nothing important to your life. And the reason you feel like that is because you're not purpose-driven. What does purpose-driven mean? Purpose-driven means that your entire life is built around this cornerstone, this reason for why you're here and why you do what you do. And I can tell you now from personal experience, I've been training and exercising for 8 years, but I haven't been spending that 8 years doing exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. I had this belief that I was very superficial. I cared about how I looked. That was why I was training and exercising, because it made me feel good about myself, helped build my confidence, because I now had evidence by the way I looked that I can put the work in. I'm willing to work hard for something. I'm like, this is now my proof that I'm a hard worker and I'm someone that people should give a shit about. But I was very superficial about it, and I just cared about how I looked. I didn't care about my health, I just cared about how I looked. So I spent many, many, many years pretending, being healthy on the outside, but being hollow, right? On the outside, it looked perfect. I looked healthy. I looked like a role model for health. But on the inside, not good. Didn't care about nutrition. As long as I wasn't eating too much that was going to make me gain fat, I was smoking, drinking, doing drugs, partying. That's a whole another topic for another video. But anyway, I'm getting off topic. So you have to go through a selfish season. You have to go through a phase in your life where you are number one in it. Because you can't help others until you've helped yourself. If you're not the best version of you, if you're not your 2.0 self, then you're not going to be showing up for other people the way you should be. You have to be selectively selfish. So what that means is, for me personally, my morning process is non-negotiable, which means there is not a single person on this planet that will get in the way of me doing those things that I do in the morning. I am selectively selfish about the things which allow me to show up as the best possible version of me for my family, for the people who rely on me, right? For my clients. So you have to be selfish first, and you have to go on this journey of becoming the best version of you and blocking out everything else. And then once you go through that process of self-actualization, of becoming the best version of you, then you become the master, right? The student becomes the master. Then you become the person who is wise enough and who has learned enough that they can start to teach and help other people. And then before you know it, you found a way to help and serve others. And then before you know it, you've accidentally stumbled into your purpose, which is to serve. So I always used to think that everybody had a very unique purpose on this planet, and that we all had one, and it was up to us to discover it and find out what that is. And that is true to a degree, but the overarching principle, the overarching purpose is the same, which is to serve. We just all have slightly different ways of doing that. But the easiest way to do that is to create the person that you admire and give them to the world, as Wes Watson says. Create the person that you're proud of, create the absolute bulletproof person that you've always wanted to be and that you always need in your life, and then give them to the world. It's very simple. But you have to be purpose-driven, because without purpose, what do we have? We don't have anything. There is nothing on this planet, there's no thing or experience that can motivate you enough to get up when you don't want to do difficult things every single day, to purposely make yourself uncomfortable, knowing that you're going to get growth out of it. There is no stronger motivator for that than a strong purpose. There's nothing. A lot of you will be sat there thinking, well, if someone offered me £10 million to get out of bed every morning, I'd do that. But to what end? At what point is money not enough? You need something stronger. And there is nothing stronger than knowing that you're getting up every single fucking morning for them, for other people. It's not about you. We are intrinsically very selfless as human beings. We want to help other people. It's in our DNA. How do you feel when you see somebody struggling and you take the time to help them? Feel good. Feel great. You feel on top of the world. Or when you bump into a stranger and you're extra nice, you go out of your way to be really nice to that person, you put a smile on their face and you make their day. It makes you feel good. It's in our DNA, it's in us that we want to help other people. So why not just structure your life around doing that? If we know that we feel good when we're helping other people, then let's just find a way to do that all the time. I'm telling you now, if I get to do this for the rest of my life, I'll be a very happy man. Because there's nothing that makes me feel better and nothing that makes me feel more motivated and fired up than when I see that one of my clients is a stone down, they've tried on a pair of jeans that didn't used to fit them and now it fits them. Or clients who message me to say that they were in a really bad place a couple months ago and now they feel alive again. They have more energy. They feel comfortable in their own skin. That shit fires me up. Because that person, just a short while ago, didn't used to be like that. And now you can see all this growth that's happened in such a short amount of time. And I did that. Now, in fairness, most of the time, they're the ones doing it. I'm just there to guide, right? So I don't really have a lot to do with it. But it's knowing that I've helped somebody go from a place of sadness, depression, and anxiety and being able to help them grow into something new. There is nothing more beautiful than that. There is nothing. So if you're going to take anything away from this video, it is stage 1 of your life. The first step to all of this is to become undeniable, is to create the best version of you, that version of you that you'll be proud of. That's the only thing that matters, and then everything else comes later. It's a very sad life to go through your entire life and get old, and to be old and cynical because you didn't do anything with it. To know that you spent your entire life worrying about shit that didn't matter, worrying about bills, paying rent on time, caring what other people thought about you, instead of waking up every single day with a purpose to be better and to help others be better. Because when you get old, you will have a lot of regret for what you didn't do today, which you should have done. And that has always been my biggest fear in life. I don't want to get old and have regrets. Don't want it. Not interested in that. There is nothing scarier to me than getting on my deathbed and thinking and knowing I could have done more. I won't live that life. I refuse.